A couple of weeks ago, I told Pastor Joey I was going to sing his song. And the reason I say it's his song is because I'm dedicating this song to him. A few months ago, he gave a message about a bruised reed and a smoking flask, and that God takes things that are broken and uses them. So at the end of his sermon, he said, "So how are you broken?" And when I heard that question, the first thing that popped in my head is, I'm no longer broken. But I thought, if he'd asked this question just a few short years ago, I could tell him how many ways I was broken. And I'd like to just share for a minute. I'm kind of behind in my testimony, so I'm going to catch up here in a couple minutes. The ways that I was broken, I grew up in a Christian home, in a holiness home, and went to the holiness camps all my life. But and I've been a Christian since my earliest days that I can remember, but most of those years were very struggling years, and I had some issues and things that kept me from having true victory, and I was defeated. I lived a defeated life, and I consequently lived a very frustrated life. And one of my big frustrations was with our doctrine of holiness. I felt like, I can't live up to this standard of holiness. And with our second work of grace, I was always, every camp meeting, I would go to the altar and seek for holiness, and then I would claim it. But there was no change in my life, and I was very confused and frustrated about that. So I could count on every revival and every camp meeting. Just whenever they would preach on holiness, I would go away confused and troubled, and it'd take me about a week to get back in shape again, or get back to where I wasn't all confused. And so I lived a very frustrated life. Well, a couple, 3 or 4 years ago, I came to I guess what you would call the crisis point in my life. There were some things I was struggling with. I was so full of bitterness. There was things I didn't feel like God was taking care of me like I thought he should. It wasn't meeting my needs. I just didn't feel like God was even good at all. And I didn't feel like he was kind. And I was just facing so much bitterness. And bitterness in your heart is like a cancer. I mean, it'll just eat you alive. And if you don't deal with it, it'll destroy you. Well, I remember I was on a job site at a place appropriately named Battleground Elementary School. And I was certainly having a battle. My heart was a battleground. I remember just being so perplexed and confused and troubled, and I stepped out in this little courtyard, and this is kind of what I said to God. I said, "Lord, I don't understand your ways. I don't understand how you're leading me. I don't even feel like you're good or kind to me. But I said, I believe that you are the way, and I believe you are good, even though I don't feel that way right now. But I said, I am going to choose to follow you because I know that you are the way, and that's the choice I'm making." And right there, I settled it in my heart. I was going to go God's way, even though I didn't really feel that I wanted to do that at that moment. It was just a conscious decision that I made. There was no fireworks. There's nothing really happened at that moment. But at that point, from that point on, things began changing in my life. I began to have peace. Bitterness just slowly dissipated. And about almost a year from that time, I was right back at that same school again, and just happened to walk past that courtyard, and I stopped and I looked in there, and it just hit me like that. How far God has brought you in this past year. I don't feel that bitterness. I don't feel that struggle. There's peace, and I just praise the Lord for that. And there's another issue in my life I was struggling with, and the Lord said, just take out a piece of paper and write down what you're struggling with and make yourself accountable for that. And I did that. Now that was another turning point with the things I struggled with. So I feel like coming to that crisis point and committing to God, yielding to God, and then being obedient to what he wanted me to do gave me victory over the things that had bound me for years. And like I said, being at camp meetings and revivals was always a burden to me. I never really enjoyed them because of this. And so consequently, my kids, unfortunately, I didn't really take them to camps and spend the whole week there like I did when I was growing up. So my son, David Eric, he wanted to go to camp year before last. And so I said, well, okay, I'm going to take my vacation and we're going to go to camp. And I was kind of fearful of that because I said, well, I know what I'm going to face. I'm going to face these battles at camp. Well, I went to the camp, ICHA camp. I went there with the attitude in my heart, I'm going to do whatever God tells me to do. Whatever he says, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to fuss around and carry on. I'm just going to do what he tells me to do. Well, so meetings were going fine. The preacher preached on holiness one night. I said, oh, no, here we go. I said, here's my battleground. Well, he preached about yielding to God. I thought, I've yielded to God. He preached about obeying God. I thought, I'm obeying God. And the whole message, I thought, I'm living this. God has definitely made a change in my life, and I'm there. And when I walked out of that service, instead of being confused and oppressed, I felt light. I felt God has done a work in my life. And you know, recently now I can look back and see how God has just turned my life around. And it was just because of coming to that crisis point and saying yes, choosing him even though I didn't feel like it at the moment, and then being obedient to him. So I said all that to say this song, when Pastor Radcliffe asked, so how are you broken? That just inspired me. I'm no longer broken. And the thought just blessed me so much. I went home, and within a few days, I wrote this song. And I want to try to sing it tonight. I developed a little soundtrack to go with it, which the Lord has blessed me with some new equipment. And this keyboard he provided for me practically plays itself. So it's nothing great, but you listen as I try to sing this. Years I wandered in a dry, barren land. The thought of true victory I did not understand. Then one day at a crossroad, to the Lord I did yield. That began a new journey. With God's strength I was filled. Now I'm no longer broken. I am made whole. The blood of Jesus covers my soul. Chains have been severed, and I am set free. I'm no longer broken. I am made whole. Those dark days of weakness, so many battles I lost, crying, Jesus, forgive me, as I ran back to his cross. Now those battles are over, and I am at rest. I'm so glad that I followed God's way that is best. At last I can say, I'm no longer broken.